Hello world and welcome to this new tutorial. In today's video we are going to be solving the Cameroon GCE ICT June 2024 paper 3. My name is Nelson Fujo, and without wasting so much time, get to the website www.gcejune.com and get the paper, or visit the link in the description below, and let's get started. Alright, so now that you're all set up, this paper is divided into 3 tasks. We have task 1 database 26 marks, we have task 2 programming 9 marks, and task 3, which is presentation, 15 marks. And in total, every candidate is supposed to answer this paper within 2 hours. You are given a candidate folder, and the candidate folder contains a file, practical, which is an Excel sheet containing this data. Alright, so we're going to visit the candidate folder. It is found usually on the desktop, but right now we're going to search. Alright, so I'll go to desktop here. Okay, so I'm going to create my candidate folder with my name, Nelson Fujo candidate folder. Okay, usually you just have to put your full name and everything, because this is where we're going to be saving everything, our files, our screenshots, our anything that needs to be submitted for printing or maybe to be marked. Alright, so I'm going to drag my candidate folder. It contains this file, these 2 files, an image, computer image, and practical.xlsx, which is an Excel file. Alright, so I will paste it in my candidate folder because I know I'm going to work with them. Okay, now that my folder is all set, I can begin with the paper. So task 1 is database and it's 26 marks in total. Okay, whenever you have such a paper in front of you, the first thing you need to do is you read through the paper from beginning to end. So you use the first 10 minutes of your 2 hours, read through task 1, read through task 2, and read through task 3. After reading now, you can use the remaining time to start answering. This time around, you read again while answering for you to have a prerequisite knowledge on what the paper entails before matching to answer it directly. So I'm going to start directly because I can't read the paper all time constraints, and I'll be reading the questions and answering directly. So task 1, database 26 marks. The table below shows the records of students who carried out different practical lessons in different lab rooms. The data is found in a spreadsheet named Practical in the student info workbook found in your candidate folder. Okay, that means there was a folder called student info actually. Okay, alright, so I actually removed it from there. So question 1 says, alright, this is a table that is found in the practical spreadsheet workbook. So here they say the table above is in first number form. Give 2 reasons why it is not in second number form. Alright, we're going to look through those reasons. So we're actually going through the task 1 database, which is 26 marks in total. Alright, so let's first understand what second number form. A table is in second number form if it is in first number form, meaning it should have a primary key and all values should be atomic, and every non-primary key attribute, meaning all the other fields or the column headings that are not keys, that's what we mean by non-primary key attributes, is fully functional dependent on the entire primary key, which means that there should be no partial dependency where a non-key attribute depends only on part of the composite primary key. Meaning if you have such a table and 2 of the fields have are keys, right? Like the combination of these 2 are the keys. What it means is that if this is not a key, it should be fully dependent on both of them. Same thing for this field, it should be fully dependent on both the composite primary key. Alright, so let's look at everything, the answer proper. So the first reason, Student details like surname, other name, and sex depend only on student number, which is not a part of the composite primary key, thus creating a partial dependency. And the second reason, the subname depends only on the subcode, which is also just part of the composite primary key, indicating another partial dependency. So let's look at the composite primary key in this case. Realize that if you mix student number and subject code, subcode, both of them can mix all together to form a composite primary key. Now, surname depends on student number, other name depends on student number, sex depends on student number. Now, we realize that subject name depends on subject code only, like it doesn't depend on both of them. Whereas lab number depends on both the subject code and the student number. So we realize that only lab number has a full dependency, whereas subject name has a partial dependency. Sex, other name, and surname all have a partial dependency because they depend just on part. They depend just on part of the composite key. So that's the first reason. We have seen the second reason. The subject name, which depends on subject code, is also just part of the composite primary key, indicating another partial dependency. So we saw some sets of partial dependencies, stating that the table is not in second normal form. Alright, now that we have answered the first two questions, two marks in total. The second question says, create a database named stud database and save it in your candidate folder. Alright, so I'm going to open my Access directly in Microsoft Access, which is a database management system that I'm going to use for this exercise. So I'm going to search it on the search bar, or I'll just say MS Access. Okay, so the searching is slow. I'll just navigate through all my apps directly. Okay, this is Access since it starts with A. Alright, once I open Access, I'm going to click on blank database, and I'll be asked to put the name of the database. So as the question said, I'll put the name of the database as stud database, making sure that the naming convention is exactly the way it was given. S in capital and D in capital. So stud database. Okay, so I double check to be sure because renaming will cause a little bit of trouble after. Alright, so it's correct. I just create directly. That gives me another set of 2 marks, but now I have to make sure that it is in my candidate folder. So after creating that, I come to File, I go to Save As. I click on Save As here. Okay, now I'm going to locate my candidate folder. The directory is found in desktop. Inside desktop, I go to my candidate folder, and I actually remove this one because it's actually supposed to be stud database. This is the extension of access files, and I save. Alright, the file is now found in my candidate folder. I have to enable content to keep on working. Okay, now the database is empty. Next, import the spreadsheet name Practical in the Stud's Info Workbook found in your candidate folder. Ensure that no extra field is added, else you should eliminate it. Alright, so to import the practical table, I'm going to come to external data. Just right here, I'm seeing import and link. I'll come and put new, click on new data source, then from file, Excel. Now I'm asked to put the file name. I'll just locate it directly from my candidate folder, desktop, also candidate folder. Okay, this is practical. Alright, so now that I've located it, import the source data into a new table. Alright, I want it to come into a new table. Okay. Now okay, I can see the table. I would want the first row to be the headings. So I click here. First row contains column headings. I click on next. I check the various data types of all the fields. The first one is short text, yes. The second one is short text, yes. Short text, short text. Okay, this one should be integer. So I put integer. Short text, short text. Alright, so I click on next. Now they're asking me if I want access to choose my primary key. No, I'm going to choose my primary key myself. For now, I will just put student number as a primary key because it doesn't repeat actually, meaning it is a potential primary key, When we look at all the values in student number, we realize that it can be used to locate or to give information about any record on this table. So let's just allow it for now. We might add the subject code as a composite primary key later on. So I click on OK. Import the table. I'm going to call it practical. Yes. Finish. Alright. So now I don't need to save the import steps. So I close this. I can see here the practical table has been created successfully. I double click to open and check. Perfect. Everything is exactly as it is on the image. Good. So I've imported the table. The remarks good. Now question 4. I am asked to create a query on the practical table which will extract records of all the male students who carried out practical in either lab 1 or lab 2. Group your records according to subjects. Adjust the field width to the maximum data length. Save your query as male lab 4. Alright, so now to create a query, I'm going to go to create here on the ribbon. Then I'll click on query design. I'm going to add this table. Alright, so I'm going to select just the relevant fields here that I could display. Let me increase the size. So to select the field, you can come down here and select the field, or you can just double click on this table. So I prefer double clicking. I'm going to show the student's number. I'm going to show the student's surname. I'm going to show order name. I'm going to show sex. I'm going to show subject code, subject name, and lab number. Since the specific number of fields was not precise, extra records of all male students. So they say records, meaning everything for every male student who carry out practicals in either lab 1 or lab 2. So now to get exactly the male students, I'm going to come here where is written criteria in this design view, and I'm going to go to sex. I'm going to put equal to. Inside the double quotes, I'll put capital M. Yeah, this criteria will help me to sort out only the male students from the sex category. Also, I was told to select the males in lab 1 or lab 2. So I'll come to lab number. Just right here, I'll put equal to. Inside double quotes, I'll put lab 1 exactly as it is written in the table. That means it's a space before 1. And I'll write or, still in double quotes, lab 2. Okay. Now I'll try and run the query to see if it has selected. Okay, so it has selected, but the information about the students is empty. Okay, that means I need to check the way I wrote M and the way I wrote lab 1 and lab 2. I have to ensure that they're in double quotes. So I come back here and I check here. I realize that there are dots before M. If you can realize, just before my M here, there are some dots. So I'm going to remove it here and here. Okay, so I'm going to remove it here also. Okay, and this all, I think it's okay. Alright, so after doing that, I'll run again. Alright, so these are the students lab 1, lab 2, lab 1, lab 2, which are only males. Good. So what we learn here, to develop a query, you come to the criteria section and you write exactly what you want to sort out from the whole table in double quotes if it's a string. And also the same thing for lab number. You can use the or. Another operation here could be and. So that's it. I don't think grouping by is necessary here because the informations are not clear enough on group your records according to subjects. On are we counting the subjects or what is happening? Because when you group by, you're either getting average, minimum, maximum, or maybe counting. So it's not clear. Now we're asked to adjust the field width to the maximum data length. We're asked to save the query as male lab 1. Okay, so once you run this, you can see that the field width, which is this, is already adjusted to maximum data length. Yeah, like it's not like overloading, so it's fitting perfectly. So I need to save this query, and I'll just make sure that I save it with the exact name that is given in the question paper. So I'm going to say mail, M capital, mail lab 1. All right, I click on OK. The query will be saved here. So that's it for the query, the first query. Next question: give the two possible key fields of the above table of the table above. All right, so how can I get the key fields? We have already identified them. There are two possible key fields, and looking at the tables, we realize that the first possible key field is a student number, and the next is subject code. There are two fields that together can form a unique key, which is a primary key: student number and student code for the practical table. So that's the answer that you could put here to get the 2 marks. Now 6 is to normalize the database. The practical table will be split into 3 subtables: students, subjects, and lab work. Okay, so we're going to split the table into 3 subtables: students, subjects, and lab work. A faster way of creating these tables is by creating a copy of the practical table and then delete unwanted fields and then rename the modified table. Create a table: students, subjects, and lab work from the practical table using the structures below. Students table should have student number, primary key because of this star, surname, other name, sex. The subjects table should have subject code, subject name. The lab work table should have student number, subject code, lab number. Now we are given a hint. You can create a copy of a table by right clicking on it and then select copy in the pop-up menu. To paste the copy, right click on the table pan and select paste. Right click on a new table and select rename. Alright, so let's first copy that practical table 3 times. We're going to have, we will name the first one into students, the second one into subjects, and the third one into lab work. So let's do that. I'm going to right click and put some copy. Then just here I'm going to paste 3 times. So 1. Okay, so the first name, I'll just give it students. Good. I'm going to paste again. The next, I'm going to call it subjects. Okay. I'm going to paste again. I'm going to call it lab work. Okay. So now we are asked to make sure that the various fields headings are the fields are just student number, surname, other name, and sex. So I'm going to go to the student table, this one, and I'm going to delete the fields that are not necessary. Okay, student number necessary, surname necessary, other name necessary, sex. Okay, so I'm deleting us from here. I'll put delete field. Yes, yes. Same thing here. Delete field. Even lab number, delete field. Alright, so we have the various fields of the students table. Now we have to check that student number is the primary key by coming to the design view and checking here. Yeah, it is the primary key. So students table done. Next table, subjects table, which has as field only subject code and subject name. So I go to the subjects table. I have to delete many because I need just subject code and subject name here. So I start by deleting lab number. I delete the sex. I delete other name. I can even select multiple. Yeah, and delete them both. Here too, but I guess it will be a problem because it's a primary key right now. So I have to remove it. I come here and I remove it as primary key before deleting. Alright, now it will be very difficult to put subject code as primary key because you can see the values are repeating, but they're the same. So let's just try it. Put subject code here as primary key. Let me save. Okay, they say the changes you requested in the table were not successful because they were creating duplicate values in the index. So it's not possible to be errors encountered. So the only way to make subject code a primary key in this case is to delete duplicated values of the same code. So I can see here you cannot do that many times. That means, wow, you take a lot of time deleting this. Oh, you can't just delete the values because you're going to have what we call empty fields. And actually, having empty fields will cause issues since primary keys do not allow empty fields. So the best method here is to delete every record one by one, making sure that you leave just one value for every subject. Since we have to make sure that it is unique, yeah, and we are actually killing the redundancy, which is the repetition. So I will take my time and delete every repeated record. Since Access don't want me to select multiple ones, I'm going to do that with one at a time. Alright, I'm done. Now I can easily set subject code as the primary key here, as values are no longer repeating. Alright, so I have a primary key. The next table is the lab work table. Okay, here I'm leaving just the fields and I'm setting two of them as primary key: student number, subject code, and lab number. So I open lab work. I'm leaving this, I'm removing this. Okay, I'm removing this, and this. So let me select all of them at the same time. I'm removing all of this. Delete fields. Yes. Student number, subject codes. I'm removing subject name. Okay, and I'm making sure that both of them are primary key. So I come to design view. I click on one of them. I press on the control key on my keyboard. I click on the second. That's how you do to select multiples. And I make both of them to be primary key by clicking just on the primary key icon here. You can see here there are keys that appeared on both fields, so they're both primary keys now. I click on yes. So that's it. I've duplicated, I've inserted, I've created the three tables, 6 marks, good. Now 7 says create a relationship in the database from the 3 created tables. To create a relationship, the first thing is to close all the tables. Yeah, making sure that they're all saved. Because if you don't close the tables, you'll not be able to link them, especially when it comes to enforcing referential integrity, to put the cardinalities between the various tables. So I come to database tools. I click on relationships. I add my 3 tables by selecting one, adding, selecting the next one, adding, selecting the next one, adding. Or I could just double click and drag to select multiples. So there are many methods to add tables. So tables are all selected. Okay, so I didn't have to add practicals. Let me remove this. Okay, okay, let me hide the table. I just come on edit relationship, add tables. I add the lab work table. Yeah, I think that's the table lacking here. Alright, now I just need to look for who has a foreign key, who has a primary key. Like here, I realize that student number is a primary key here, but student number is also a foreign key here because student number is a primary key in the students table. So I drag and I command just student number. I enforce referential integrity to see the cardinality of the relationship, and I click on OK. I do the same thing with subject code. I enforce referential integrity and I click OK. Alright, so relationships created, well created. So now it says draw the relationship diagram derived in 7 above in the space below 2 marks. So let's look at how to draw relationship diagrams. Now that we're done, the first type of relationship diagram is this type, which is the relational model. When not precise, most of the times it is good to draw this type, which is the relationship diagram direct, where you can see the tables, the table names separated with the various attributes of the tables, or the field names where the primary key is indicated with underline, or you could put an asterisk just closer to them to indicate who is the primary key. Now you can see the cardinality between the tables, which is the relationship Here you can see it's a one to many, a many to one, and yeah, this is the diagram required. Now you could also be asked to draw an entity relationship diagram, which is a relationship, still another type of relationship diagram, but here tables are represented as entities. You can see to draw an entity relationship diagram, you put the entity or the table name here. You do the same thing here. Lab work, this is entity name. Entity name. Now all the attributes are put in ovals. You can see the oval. The attribute names are put just like this, and you underline the primary key. Lab work has the ray attributes where student number, subject code are both underline meaning, composite primary key. Subjects just so subject name and subject code underline, which is the primary key. Now you can see inside some rhombus in the middle, it is a verb that describes the relationship between one entity and the other, and you can see the cardinality just very close to the entities. Now why is this rhombus and the word important? It helps us link the first entity to the second. So here someone can come and look at your database, and through your entity relationship diagram, he can just read through it and understand directly what the database is all about. Like here we could say student, like one student attains multiple lab works, and here we can say one subject is involved in multiple lab works, and vice versa, in a way that you could read this going this way with the same action word or verb. So that's the relationship diagram. You could even see here it's exactly the same when it comes to relationship diagram. So the space looks small, but just manage it well and you can get the 2 marks. The last question on the database here says, create a query that selects the students who did physics and or chemistry in lab 1. Physics and or chemistry. That means you could still put physics or chemistry because yeah, it's quite the same. Your query should display at most 5 fields. Okay, that means here we are not selecting all of them again. We have to select just the top 5 from our own choice because it wasn't stated. Save the query as Cgce 1. Alright, so let's go back to our database. We go back to create query design. We add the 3 tables. I can press on control and select the tables because I don't want practical. I want just lab work, students and subjects. Alright, so I am now asked to create a query that is going to show the various students that attended. Okay, I'm going to put just 5 attributes. What do I need? I need a student number, the student's surname. Should I take the other name? Yeah, I'm already on 3 of them. Or what else do I need? Okay, the subject name, very important. Okay, subject code and subject name. Yeah, because I need to sort out physics and chemistry from here. So I need the subject code. I'm not sure, so I could replace it to something else. Okay, I think that's all because I need a query that says students who did physics and or chemistry in lab 1. All right, so I'm going to need the lab number. It's 6 already. That means one of them will not be displayed. This will not be displayed. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, let's just look at it. All right, so now we need to remove biology and we need to remove the other labs. So we just need to create a criteria. We come to criteria. Inside the criteria for lab number, we put equal to, then inside our double quotes we write lab 1. We close the double quotes. Now inside the subject names we put equal to, inside the double quotes we write physics, or out double quotes open chemistry. Is it chemistry? Is it biology? Let's check that. Okay, yeah, it's chemistry. So I keep writing this chemistry. All right, I run back the query. All right, so we have lab 1, physics, chemistry. So this is the student number, the name, other name, subject name, and the lab. So let's check if there's any information that we could still take from the table that could be important. Not really. maybe the 6, but they said just 5 fields and there's not precise. That means, okay, they said at most, that means we could even have less. But now they don't precise which of the fields are important. But we all know that the name of the student is very important. Yes, and the subject offered plus the lab number. Those are the 3 important fields. Alright, so we are done. We have to save the query as Cgce 1. So I come here and I click on save. I just type Cgce 1 and I click on OK. So I've created the field, the query Cgce 1, which displays the various students that offer physics and or chemistry in lab 1. Alright, now the last instruction says print the following: students, subjects, lab work, tables, the 3 tables, mail 1 and Cgce 1 queries. So to print them, you need to do screenshots. So I'm going to open the students table here and I'm going to invite the snipping tool, which is the screenshot tool that we're going to use here. You just search, after pressing on Windows, you search snipping tool. You open your snipping tool and you click on the plus or the new that is going to appear. That means new screenshot. Okay, most of the times it's good to close the other ones to make your work look neat, because the examiner might not know what you. Okay, let me save the relationship. Alright, so that one table at a time should be open. So I click on new. I come just right maybe here and I just drag. Okay, I did not drag well. I have to start it back. New. Right away, I drag. What's happening here? Okay, let me just come and drag just the table then. Alright, so I've selected the student number table, student, and now I click on save. I need to locate exactly where my candidate folder is found, and in my candidate folder it's in desktop. Okay, I saved the screenshot. Okay, not here. Yeah, it's here actually. I saved the screenshot as students. I click on save. Now I open another table, subjects table, and I close the students table. I invite the snipping tool. I click on new. Make sure that I delimit the exact portion that shows the whole table. I click on save again. Okay, here. Still in my candidate folder, I make sure that I'm in my candidate folder. I call this subjects and I save. The last one was lab work. I open lab work, I close subjects. I click on new again. I select the exact portion of lab work and I click on save, making sure that I save it in my candidate folder with a good name, so that while going to the examiner for printing, I will know how to indicate the files to be printed. So this is 1, 2, this is the 3rd one, lab work. Now one other thing we'll ask to screenshot is the query mail lab 1. This is mail lab 1. So let me close lab work. I'm going to cover my snipping tool, click on new, and delimit the exact portion of the table. Click on save again. Inside my candidate folder, I'm going to call this mail lab 1. And I save. I close mail lab 1. I open Cgce 1. And I call my snipping tool again. I click on new. I screenshot the part necessary and I save it as Cgce 1. Cgce 1. Save. Alright, so that's it guys. We have come to the end of database. One good practice is to check your candidate folder to make sure that you have saved everything. You close your database and you open it back to be sure that it opens correctly and everything is inside. So I've closed. Okay, these are the files that were supposed to be in workbook workbook. Now concerning the screenshots, these are the first 3 screenshots, the last 2 screenshots. All right, this is my stud database. I open it back to be sure that there is no faults. I have to make sure that everything is all right. They are still all there. I could just have a look on my tables. Good, everything is good. So I close this. Not to waste a lot of time. And I conclude like I'm done. I'm done with database. All right. So the database work done. We'll go to the next one, which is task 2, programming, 9 marks. So let's look at the question paper. Programming says write a program using either C compiler or Pascal compiler to implement the algorithm below. The algorithm receives 2 integer inputs from the user and computes the product. Algorithm product start display give an integer and store it as in the location num1, display give another integer and store it in the location num2. Compute prot is equal to num1 times num2, display the value of prot stop. A guide to complete the code is given below. After successful run, write down the code in the space provided in the guide. Cancel the part of the language not used and use the entire length of the lines. Okay, meaning you should cancel this part. I should use everything here. Okay, because if you want to write just on this small portion, it might not be enough to transform this. So you cancel this, and make sure that you make good use of all these lines. Yeah, so have enough space to write exactly this in C. Okay, so a guide is given. This is the guide, and after successful run, write down the code in the space below. So that means you need to convert this in our compiler first, then write the successful run in case it runs well. Yeah. Now we are told that will be evaluated on the following. 3 marks will be awarded for variable declaration, 1 mark for each correct line implemented, and the total score is 9 marks. Alright, so back to work. I'm going to invite my IDE, Integrated Development Environment, which is Dev C++. Others could use code blocks or any other IDE. They're all the same, okay? It's just the way the syntax is being managed. So I press Ctrl N to have a new file. You could do the same thing. And inside here, I'm first going to save my work, like file, save as. Yeah, because I have to make sure that I enter my candidate folder on the desktop. Now, since candidate folder is in desktop, here in my candidate folder, I need to name it. I check if a particular name was given. Save your work. Okay, there's nothing. Okay, we're not precise on how to save the work, so I'll just call it task 2. Alright, task 2, and I have to make sure that I change the save type to C, else I'm going to be coding in C++, and which might reduce my marks because the question paper precise that I'm using C language. So I click on save. I am in my candidate folder already. Now I just have to look at this algorithm, use these hints and convert it directly. So I'm going to first reproduce these hints that's given to me inside my IDE. So the first one is #include stdio.h. I write it back, #include std standard input output dot header. Okay, the next line is an int main with some round brackets and curly brackets. Then I can see return 0 down, and just in the middle, like somewhere up here, I can see int. Alright, so after writing the hints, next I come to the algorithm. They say display give an integer. So the first thing I need to do is to analyze how many variables are used here. I'll explain more later. The first variable is prot, then we have num1, num2, which are all integers. So I come here, I declare my variables. Num1, you have to make sure that you write the variables exactly the way they are given, because this one counts a lot. If you write a variable small n, Yeah, small n is different from capital N because they have different ASCII value in computers. So you rewrite the variable names as given in the pseudocode exactly the same. So I'm going to declare my variables as you all see. I'll have int num1, comma num2. Since they're all integers, I declare them on the same line. And prot, since p is in capital, I put it exactly in capital. All right. So next, I am told to display give an integer and store it in a location called num1. To display in C, we use a printf function stored in the standard library. Okay, I'm going to put my quotes here. I'll say give an integer. All right, I'll just put 2 dots and a semicolon because in C, every statement ends with a semicolon. Now to store, I'm going to call the scanf function, %g for the format specifier of integers, ampersand variable. Why do I want to store it? Inside num1, semicolon. The next statement is surely give another number and we store in num2. So let me look at that. Give another integer and store the location num2. So I'm going to say printf give another integer, semicolon, and I'm going to put scanf %d comma outside ampersand num2. I come out and I put my semicolon directly. Then I need to do a computation. Here I'm told that compute prot is equal to num1 times num2. So I'll say prot is equal to, let me put spaces to be a little bit clean in my work, num1 times num2, semicolon again. Now I need to print the product. Yeah, I think display the value of the product. All right, so when you say printf, the product is, okay, I was not even told to display this, so I was just told to put a %z for the value, just the value. Yeah, so I'm getting the algorithm exactly as it is. All right, so let me put a backslash in here so that it goes to the next line directly after. Prot here. All right, so now that I have developed the code exactly as it's supposed to be, I'll try and run. I'll come to execute, compile first and run. All right, compiling is to test for errors, then running is to execute the program. Okay, so no error identified. If an error was identified, I should have had like red lines indicating that I have an error on this side. I should correct it. So this is my compiler showing me the output. If an integer, I'm gonna put 12. If another integer, 45. So I have 540 here directly as a product. But let's just make the code a little bit clear by saying the product is, yeah, something like this. Then let's run it again. Okay, so I'll explain the code and everything. So here I'll input 10, then here I'll input 12. The product is 120. All right, so the code runs perfectly well. Now concerning screenshots, 1 mark for query implementation and the lines. Okay, so no mark is given for any screenshot, so I don't really need to test my code and everything. All right, so let's go to understanding the code proper. So this is the code that was used in the IDE. Next, let's just study the code line by line. The first line is #include sczio.h, which is a line that includes a standard input-output library, which provides functions like the printf for displaying output and the scanf for reading input. So you take that down. The int main and the curly brackets, everything that comes inside, is the main function, like the motherboard, where the program execution begins, meaning everything is found in the int main function. All of these guys, as you can see, found inside the int main function. So next, let's look at the int num1, num2, num3 line that I did with the semicolon at the end. Is a line that declares 3 integer variables. Yeah, num1 is to store the first integer input by the user. Num2 is to store the second integer input by the user, and prod is a variable which is going to store the computation or the product of num1 and num2. Next we have the printf line, give an integer. It's just code in C that displays the message give an integer on the screen, prompting the user to enter the first number. Now we have scanf, %z, and num1. This particular line, the scanf, is used to read formatted input from the user. So it is a function used in C to read input. The %z specifies that we are expecting an integer. If we're expecting a decimal number, we should have put %f, which signifies float or floating point number. Now, ampersand num1 is the memory address of the variable num1, where the entered integer will be stored. Meaning, when you have a variable in memory already, now you need to store a value inside that variable. You need to locate its address, like where it is located in memory, by putting the ampersand sign, then followed by the variable name, making sure that you have separated it from its format specifier or its type with a comma. Good. So let's look at other lines. We have the printf give another integer line, and the scanf, this which is the same. The line to print out, display to the screen, and take another integer store in the variable num2. Next line we have the prod, which is num1 times num2. This line performs the multiplication of the two inputted numbers, num1 and num2, and assigns the result to the variable prod, as you can see here. We put that after this because we need to have a value for num1 first, which is taken here, and have a value for num2, which is taken here. Now that they all have values, we now take their product and store in the variable prod. Now the last second to the last line is the printf. The product is this, like, yeah. So you can see there's a %z here and the prod after the quotes after a comma, because if you put prod here, it's going to print it. Let's try something. Instead of putting prod after the quotes, let me put prod just here. You're going to see it's going to print the variable name rather than printing the variable value. Let's put the first integer, which is 10, the second integer maybe 15. You can see here it is written the product is prod. The product is prod because when you put a text inside quotes in the printf function in C, it prints that text. So to print the variable, we need to put the type of the variable, which is an integer. So %z, out of the quote, we separate the quote with a comma, and we put the variable name prod. And okay, no, here we were debugging actually. So let me, here I have compile and run. You can see it's going to work perfectly well now because we have mapped the variable directly with its format specifier, and you can see the product is functioning properly. So the \n is a new line character which moves the cursor to the next line after printing. Now the last line is return 0, which indicates that the program has executed successfully and has come to the end of the main function. So that was it for the programming section. You just recopy the code here, and if you have understood everything, you're going to have your 9 marks directly. So great job there. We are going to go to the last task of this paper. Okay, let me make sure that I've saved my work file. Save, because this is what you're submitting. Okay, just press on Ctrl S, you close, you check your candidate folder. This is my candidate folder. Task 2 is written here, just here. The file is here. I open task 2 and I make sure that the code is still well written, well presented, exactly the way I left it. And I have to make sure that everything, in fact, I have to make sure that the code runs again. So it takes some time to open. I don't know why. Alright, so it opened. Everything is good. I run again just to be sure. I compile and I run. I put some random values, 115 and 100. Okay, 15,000. Good. So I close my program. I close my code. Good. So I'm done with the programming part. I go to the next task 3, which is presentation, and it's 15 marks in total. So now presentation, let me see what it's all about. Okay, so I'm giving slides: slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4. Uses of the computer in homes. You have an image presented by Kinjo Hamson. Study: a learning use of computer and accessories to study, interactive or non-interactive. Documentation: creating electronic copies of normal study materials. Research: getting information through the net and documenting information related to a given topic. Slide 2 for entertainment. Online entertainment uses internet while offline stored information in local storage CD-ROMs. Okay, play game, watch movie, and play music. Okay, communication. Here we have attend online meetings, sending and receiving mails, sharing information related for slide 4. So your work will be evaluated based on the following. Slide 1. The font type used in the title should be Algerian, as it's in there. Subtitle Times New Roman. Okay. So marks. Layout, title slide. Okay. Font size of the title 44, font size of the content 32. Okay. The picture in slide 1 is for your candidate folder. The picture should be adjusted to the appropriate size and position as shown in slide 1. Okay. Slide 2, 3, and 4. The font type used should be Times New Roman, both for the title and the content. Okay. All the other slides 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Font size of the title should be 44, font size of the content 32. 44, 32. Okay. Design should be default as shown in the images above. That means no image background or okay. All right, so let's just look at that. I'm going to go back and open PowerPoint. That's a software I'm going to use, Microsoft PowerPoint. All right, so I'm going to click on blank presentation. I have to make sure that I first save my file in my candidate folder. No name was precised. Yeah, no name was precised as save type. So I'll just save it as tax3. So browse. Okay, just right away I'm going to locate my candidate folder, desktop. Okay, so I'll call it tax3 here. All right, save. All right, so without wasting so much time, we are going to be checking exactly what is the content of slide 1. I'm going to rewrite it exactly here and make sure that I respect the formatting guidelines. So here as heading, I have uses of the computer in homes. All right, and the subtitle, let me just put it before formatting. Presented by Kinjo. Let me check that. Kinjo Hamson. All right. So I have to make sure that this is actually a little bit the same. So I'll squeeze it here and put it somewhere here. So here they said Algerian 44. So I come here to font type. I search for Algerian. Algerian. AL. I can just type it. Algerian. Okay, this is it. Uses of the computer. I can reduce the size for it to look a little bit the same as the one in the image. Okay, centered. Here it is. So for slide 1, Algerian, font size for the title is 44. Okay, Times New Roman for the subtitle, and the font size 32. So this is Times New Roman and the 32 here. So I'll type 32. Good. And here I'm going to type Times New Roman as font type. Good. So I just increase this a little bit. Okay. Now I need to add an image here. the image that I saw in my candidate folder, I'm going to click on insert pictures from this device. Desktop. I go back to desktop. Inside Nelson candidate folder. Okay, this particular computer is not the same, but I'll just resize it well. Okay, and place it. Yeah, I think somewhere here, and this one is also somewhere here. Yeah, I guess that's it. Let me check. All right, so it makes sense. That's it for slide 1. Now the layout should be title slide. Let's check layouts. This is layout here. You have to be sure that it is title slide. Yeah, it is title slide. What again? I've added the picture. The picture should be adjusted to the appropriate size. Alright, done. Okay, so we are done with slide 1. We need to add a new slide 2, and start typing everything on that study. So to add a new slide, I just click here, new slide. Okay, so it is title content still. Layout, title, and content. Alright. So I'm going to put a title. I think here the title is study. Yes, from also there. And here just before bullet point we have e-learning. Okay, what's happening? The E is supposed to be in capital. Okay, so in capital, e-learning. Alright, now you have to type exactly the text written after e-learning. Use of computers and accessories to study, interactive and non-interactive. Then we have documentation. So use of computer accessories to study, interactive and non-interactive. Alright, so with a full stop, and we start the documentation. Alright, so for documentation we have creating electronic copies of study material. Creating electronic copies of study material, I guess. Alright, so study material. Research, getting information through the net and documenting information related in a given topic. So we have research. Okay, so I guess this thing is not even capital letters. Getting information through the net. That net's usually, I don't know why they put it like that. And documenting information related in a given topic. Alright, so you have to make sure that you copy exactly as it is. So anything in capital, you put capital, small letter, you put small letter. You maintain the formatting. Alright, so this study is in all of them Times New Roman. Yes, 4432. And study should be in the middle. So I put this in the middle first here, paragraph middle. I change it to Times New Roman. It is 44 years. Here I have to change all of these to Times New Roman also. The font type and the size to 32. So I have to write 32. Good. Now what else? 44, 32, design should be default. Yes, it's already default actually, because when you go to design, it's the first one, which is the default one. Yeah. Okay, so what have you left out here? Nothing. So that's it for slide 2. So create slide 3, 4, and 5, 3 and 4 directly. Rather than clicking on new style and formatting everything again, I'll just right click and duplicate. Yeah, so that the same thing should happen, and I can just change the words since the formatting remains the same. Like here, I will just put entertainment, and slide 4, I'll just put communication. Now I have to change what's written down. Select all of this and remove it. Entertainment. We have online entertainment uses internet while offline stored information in local storage or CD-ROMs. Okay, to do any of. Alright, so we're gonna have online space first, but this one does not take a bullet point. So I'm going to put this online entertainment uses internet while offline stored information in local storage or CD-ROMs. To do any of, you have this. So to do any of, you have play games, watch movies, online, offline, play music. So I'm going to put my bullet points back. The first one is play games. The next one is watch movies. Then there's a bullet a colon to precise online and offline. The last point we have play music. Alright, so that's it for entertainment. We go to communication, attend online meetings. We delete this. We write it exactly as it is given. That wasting time. Should be very fast at typing and reading. Sending and receiving mails, sharing information with relatives. So I'm going to write it directly. Sending and receiving mails, sharing information with relatives. Alright, so this is it. Direct, study, entertainment, communication. We make sure that the formatting is the same. When it comes to formatting, the first one is 44, the next 32 years. Same thing here. 44, 32. Alright, so let's check it back. Font type used times your woman for both title and content, layout, title and content, font size, font title. Okay, 44, font size, what content, 32. Design should be default as shown in the image above. Okay, so we have it for the 4 slides. That's it. Okay, so everything is good. We have our slides, we have our PowerPoint. We press Ctrl S to save. Now cancel folder, we close the PowerPoint. We open it again, making sure that everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so it's actually working perfectly. So that's it, guys. We have completed the whole paper. As we just closed with this last task, that's theory of June 2024 presentation, 15 marks. So in total, we were able to grab as many marks as we could, and solving all the question paper within 2 hours with a high degree of accuracy, and we're fast enough. So that's it. Right, so I've come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and make sure comment below for any question and suggestion. Don't forget, 1 like equals to 1 prayer, 1 share equals to 1 miracle, and 1 subscription of course equals to 1 blessing, and all together gives 1 more video. So if you want me to solve a new June, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment, and I'm going to upload the next June right away. Thank you very much, and trust the process, guys. We move.